bring in ABC News contributor and former NYPD chief of detectives Robert Boyce, as well as criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Bernarda Villalona. All right, Bob, the three officers involved have been suspended pending the results of an investigation by the Arkansas State Police. And now, as we know, the DOJ is launching a civil rights investigation. So based on your law enforcement experience, do you need both of these examinations at this point?
I think you should have both at this point. He's going to be prosecuted probably more. They're going to be prosecuted more than likely at the state level. But we'll see what the federal authorities do as well. It's a clear example of excessive force. No training anywhere has someone beating someone's head up against concrete. So this is outrage. It's so many things here wrong with this thing. We could talk for several hours about it. And this comes at a time when the police we're getting past different issues on the way, and we're right back to this more failure of training, failure of possibly looking at individuals who are on the job. So many things we could talk about here. And clearly, the man's in an agitated state, and this is really disturbing to us in law enforcement more than anybody else, from what I can understand.
And Bob, just seeing that the kicking from behind and the punching in the face, I mean, is that what we just saw? Is that ever justified in any situation? I mean, do those tactics look SOP to you?
They don't, with the possible except for him having a gun or something or a knife. And that's a different story at that point. But that doesn't seem to be the position here. He's on the ground. I don't believe he's handcuffed at this point. But clearly, we train officers time and time again to use non-lethal devices and instead of the punching and the kicking. So, and also, there's a strong movement in the country that if you're there and you're seeing this as an officer, you too are culpable and you too will be prosecuted. So there's we've come a long way, and there's 800,000 police officers and law enforcement officers in the country. Everyone has a black eye because of this right now. It's really disturbing across the board.
All right, so Bernarda, the local sheriff is saying that the officers, quote, will be punished for what they did if they are found to be in violation of any civil rights laws. From what you have seen so far, do you think these cops should be charged, or is there more to the story? Because lawyers representing the cops say that there is more body camera footage that shows the suspect allegedly slamming one of the officers to the ground.
I understand that, Kira, and based on what I've seen right now, this is horrifying, and it's also numbing. Numbing to the point is, why are we seeing police brutality again? You would think that after the death of George Floyd, that people will conform their actions to what they were trained to do. Hello, it was a graphic video that we saw in regards to the death of George Floyd. But in terms of these officers, based on what I've seen and the video that we've all seen, I don't need to see anything else. We could see other stuff in order to fill the narrative, but the question is, at the time that you're using excessive force, was it proportionate to the threat that was there? And that is not the case here. This individual was not fighting back. This individual was not armed with a weapon. This individual was simply resisting. And that use of force was completely uncalled for. And what it's called, it's criminal. So now these officers will be facing federal charges, state charges, disciplinary actions, a DOJ investigation, and much, much more.
Okay, then, so Bob, police say that the incident began when the officers responded to the calls of this man threatening and spitting on a store clerk at a convenience store. The local sheriff says at that point, an officer asked the suspect if he had any weapons on him, which he said he did, and then he handed it over. So if that's the case, clearly we need to see all the body cam footage here.
We certainly do. So no one wants to rush to judgment here, and nor should we. So we should take a look at all the body cams, all the video within the store initially from the first store, but then apparently he followed him on a bicycle someplace. And he had no shoes on. I think this individual was clearly in emotional distress at this point, and you have to treat it like that too. So I would call for a complete investigation by both state and federal and see exactly what happened and who was hurt and how that officer acted directly thereafter. Again, there's three officers there. There's enough to get him to comply. So there's no issue at all for him slamming this individual's head into the ground.
And Bernarda, the suspect, and we're seeing his picture here, Randall Worcester, he was arrested and faces charges of terroristic threatening, resisting arrest, and also other assault charges. So what could those charges mean for him on top of this investigation that's going on for the way the police handled this arrest?
So in regards to the charges that Mr. Worcester is facing, that's for the district attorney's office to conduct a thorough investigation, especially if you're basing these charges on part of the participation of these 3 officers that we know from what we've seen have broken the law and used excessive force against this man. So the district attorney's office is going to have to conduct a thorough investigation to determine whether this man should be continued to be prosecuted for these charges. What evidence exactly is this? Also, the prosecution's office, whoever's doing the investigation as to these officers, there has to be a wall in the sense that neither of both prosecutions or investigations taint each other. So you need to keep both of those separate.
All right, Bob, Bernarda, I always appreciate talks with you. Thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.